The Leo King will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom. The Leo King will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom. The Leo King will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom. The Leo King will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom. The Leo King will be live shortly. Please hold on while the collective consciousness loads, and thank you for being a part of the Leo Kingdom.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is David Palmer, the Leo King, and this is your weekly astrology forecast for the week of, oh my gosh, we are at September the 17th through the 23rd of 2019. And here on this Deep Astrology, this is where I go deep into the charts. And of course, we also channel the astrology live to you. And we do this here on highvibe.tv. Make sure that you check it out. It's an awesome platform. We have all this free content with apps on Apple, Roku, Apple TV, and we're also on Android. And this is how you keep it going, to keep this show on the air for free. And of course, the charts are brought to you by Astro Gold, which you can get on iOS, Android, and of course, you can get it on your MacBook or any Apple device. And if you're on PC, it is Solar Fire. Now, the main theme for this week, I really don't know how to tell you all a very clear answer, because we are dealing with so much this week that the best way that I can put it is it's okay that you're not ready in life, but at the same time, you're gonna be made ready somehow. That's because Saturn, of course, is coming direct literally in the next couple hours, so Wednesday morning, early morning. And Saturn is in its home sign, and it's on the South Node, and we've been going through this since April with the South Node and Saturn. And in your life since April, you can take this last 5 months and you can say that it has not been the most revolutionary, most exciting, most fun journey of your life. And I can be honest when I say that to you as an astrologer. Because when the South Node is on any planet, and especially when it is on Saturn in its home sign, with Pluto, that we also went through in this last 5 months, this retrograde has not been the most fun because you have felt the true feeling of what Saturn feels like. You know, Gustav Holst, an amazing, I'm so bad with classical music, but I guess a conductor, he had an orchestra. You know, he wrote amazing music for the planets, and it was astrological based. And he actually gave the actual sounds of the planets. You know, Jupiter's one of my favorites. It's just so big and so pronounced. Mercury is so all over the place and so light. And Saturn is so slow and depressive and just... And the lower vibrational energies of planets and the higher vibrational energies of planets really do exist. And what we have is this clash happening. Now, whether it was the Greeks, the Romans, when you go into the oldest of astrologies, Western style, I mean, you can look into Babylonia as well, Mesopotamia. You can go into really old astrology, but really it was during that Greek-Roman time when they believed in the gods, the original pagans, and the whole idea of battle of the gods is when major planets come into a clash. And right after this Saturn direct on the South Node, which we're going to get into what that really means and why it's been very tough, we have two higher frequency vibrational planets literally going into their last big boxing match round. And this is Jupiter in its home sign, and it's Neptune in its home sign. Jupiter in Sag, Neptune in Pisces. And with Saturn direct in Capricorn, I mean, we're talking about three energies that are all doing major, major things, all in their dignity. We'll never in our life see this again. So I just want to say that the way that you've been feeling up to this point, you're not going to see this again. So you can write this one off at least and kind of put that one in your drawer, you know, for the rest of your life, that junk drawer that you never clean and that it just goes to house to house to house that you keep moving, you know what I mean? And you still got that same weird thing in the junk drawer. Yeah, you could throw this energy of the last 5 months in that junk drawer and know that you're not going to be using it much, but you're going to learn a lot from it, and that's why you might even want to throw it away in the trash. But this is definitely a clash week because with Jupiter squaring over to Neptune, talk about a delusional element, talk about our belief systems, our doubts being at the most sensitive aspects. When you've got Saturn that deals with this very heavy lead weight of growth and teaching us in a way that definitely feels more strict, not so exciting. It's not, you know, like your sports coach that's like, come on team, let's see what we could do. You get your Gatorade and your little candy bar. No, it's not like that with Saturn. Saturn takes you out into the woods and becomes a hermit with you and forces you to keep doing the same thing over and over and structure it and create a plan and let me see you write it out. And did you show up on time? And we are all, you know, the other part of Saturn is it's about the structure, like the tailoring of yourself, the presentation that you put out. So the presentation of all of us right now, when you look in your soul, is just not normal, and it's okay to be to think you're a failure, but you're going to have to shift that with Saturn coming direct. Like, this is where you got to put on the best energy starting Wednesday. So as I'm talking to you tonight, I'm going to be very frank and honest with you all. We barely even made this show come on air. I barely even made my day come on. I mean, there's been a million thoughts in my head today of just how to quit this whole entire process. Just shut this whole thing down, and I don't even know where I would go next. But the frustration and the heaviness and the pain and when you got all this pain going around because you got Chiron and Aries, just this really, you know, wounded element to our identity and our ego and the way that we want things to work. And you get the heavy frustration of Saturn when it's stationary retrograde, ready to station direct. On top of the South Node, we're feeling the stop. We're feeling the heaviness. We're feeling the things in karma that aren't working out, the things that are being wasted away. And Jupiter square Neptune as well, just as Jupiter's an expander. It really doesn't do anything else except just expand, 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 expand. And with Neptune being with our sensitivities and our soul and our delusions and our doubts, and Jupiter being this big hopeful aspect, but in square to these doubts, remember that even though Jupiter's at home and it's, you know, oh, I'm the biggest planet, you know, Neptune's at home and Neptune's like throwing a fight saying, I'm at home too, and I got a lot of deep ocean energy. I got a lot of depth. I got a whole universe out there. You think you know everything, Jupiter? I might not know everything about, you know, everything, but maybe I'm connected to everything. And so there's a big battle here about what are we connected to? Where can we go next? And remember that Mars has been in this major T-square, and Mars is trining Pluto this week. So it's like we're forced to make a change. We're forced to really get deep in ourselves of what we want, what we don't want, what's frustrating us at our deepest core, and where are those blocks? There's signs about those blocks that things have to change. Things have to change about the things that we are frustrated about. But you've got to learn compassion through this, that everybody's going through it, that everybody's dealing with frustration, that everybody wants to be at this place at this time, at this hour, and it's just not happening. It's Saturn in Capricorn, the ruler of time, Chronos. Stopped. Sorry, all clocks on the planet right now are stopped. All your clocks in your life of where you want to be at what time, not working. No matter how much you think that you can have free will, Saturn is laughing in all of our faces. There is karma. If you believe in karma, if you believe in dharma, if you believe that there's a predetermined element in this life, well, why would you sit there and believe when Saturn stops that you could just move through wherever you want? Well, maybe it's the confidence of Mars trine Pluto. Yeah. The good news is that Jupiter square Neptune is bringing up a lot of things to see that are visionary, that are positive. But it's the struggle to understand how is that going to happen. One thing is about allowing a lot of the doors to just be open and to be open to see what's allowed to come in. You know, if you're going to just shut all your doors off because something isn't working the way that you want to, just how today I honestly was ready to just close down this whole entire thing, not even fully show up for this and just be like, fuck this, and I was ready to go kick something and just, do some of my old patterns. Jupiter is squaring Neptune and all of our patterns are all coming up. And so when we have our patterns come up, we have an opportunity to either double down on those patterns or be aware of them. And this is Virgo, where we have to find a rhythm still and keep going in life. That's difficult because, Virgo is like a machine, right? Like it's like pressing out, life. It's the bicycle that just keeps going. But when the chain breaks, what do? Do you just, in today's world, when your car breaks, you just call AAA, or you call your friend, or you call somebody, or you weigh someone down. But there's always a way to they always have those like slogans in the car industry, like, we'll get you back on the road, you know what I mean? And this is the week where we have to get back on the road, and it just does not feel that we can. This is definitely not like Obama's slogan at the moment, like, yes, we can, at least we don't feel that way inside, which is kind of ironic because, we weren't in energy like this during the time when he was saying that. It was a lot of momentum at that time of, yes, we can in our lives. Ironically enough, when he went on that election trail was when Jupiter was in Sagittarius. It wasn't squaring Neptune, though, in its home sign. But we do have to find a yes, we can somewhere in our life. And that's what I think the most difficult part is. Because this is the end of Virgo. And at the end of Virgo, we get stressed because we're just here grinding, and it's a reminder that life has mundane elements. Life is not all cake and ice cream. Jupiter and Neptune like cake and ice cream. They like good movies. It likes a really positive, inspirational speech. It likes having somebody be real positive to you. There's a lot of things that, come up with these energies, but when they're in clash and with Saturn coming direct, and especially with this Mercury and Venus that have come to an opposition to Chiron as they're in Libra, this is hard because we want to find beauty, we want to connect with relationships, we want to have conversations. We will almost do anything to connect right now because that's our source. That's our source of beauty through the chaos that we see, because Jupiter square Neptune is chaotic. And especially the last square. We're dealing with things that we will never see again in our lives. Not only just Saturn direct in its home sign on the South Node in Capricorn, but Jupiter square Neptune in their home signs. The last time that one happened was 1852, 1853. That's how long that cycle took to get back to here. So we're going through a lot of what the hell's at right now. And you need to remember that with Saturn coming direct, it knows it's leaving Capricorn and going to come into Aquarius in 2020. Because when we come into, after January and coming into February, there it is. Saturn's like, I'm coming into Aquarius. But remember, Saturn retrogrades at the first degree of Aquarius. It comes back into Capricorn. So at least Saturn knows it's going to come back. But remember, Saturn also is ruled by Aquarius. And these are times where, to be honest with you, this is the longest stretch where Saturn gets his most power, and he's got Pluto on his side. He's got the South Node, and he's got eclipses coming up this Christmas, literally, Christmas Day. And on January 10th with the lunar eclipse. So we're about to, with this Saturn, head into, whether you want to call it getting back on the road, taking these boats of our destiny. And this is hard because this is where we have to make hard line conservative cuts in our life. Like, this doesn't work, that's out. This is not showing up, it's out. And that's hard for us because the North Node is in Cancer, and we want to be caring, and we're focused in this space, and we need to have some sort of emotional fulfillment. But with this Mercury and Venus in Libra, and here's Venus in its home sign of Libra, another dignified position, like, yeah, I just want to find beauty. Well, it's opposing Chiron in Aries. So, when it comes to how you want relationships to go, how you're trying to understand relationships right now, yeah, right, doesn't matter if you're in one or you're trying to get in one or you're getting over a breakup, you're dealing with wounds. You're dealing with that, yeah, the way you want it to go ain't working. And with Saturn and the timekeeper off, yeah, you want it to be at this time and at this moment. So it's a lot of tests. This is where people lose it. This is where people go, you know what? This is just, I can't deal with this anymore. I'm out of here. And we can't let that be the way. But, at the same time, we have to allow that to be a feeling and not be so hard on ourselves or not be hard on others when they're going through it. That's the biggest lesson here, is to realize that we are all going to go through it at any moment where it will just come out of nowhere. Because remember that we had a new moon just about, 2.5 weeks ago. That was 6 degrees trine Uranus. And we're still in that lunation cycle through these transits. We're in a Uranian thing. We got to learn how to be better with people. We have to learn that unpredictability is going to come at any minute, at any second. Bang. And change. With Pluto having Mars trine it, Pluto is like, hey, what's up, buddy? Mars and Pluto love each other. They're the rulers of Scorpio. Change, transformation. And they're in Virgo and they're in Capricorn. Pluto's in Capricorn, Mars in Virgo. Okay, what changes do we need to make in life to make the plan operate? Like, Pluto is sitting there going, I'm coming direct on October 3rd. But if you want to talk about penetration and fears, or even like this, what is going on energy, that's what's going on in the background, is Pluto is stationary, and it's barely moving. It's the slowest planet. And we're just, 2 weeks away from Pluto direct in Capricorn, and then Saturn on Wednesday comes direct on the South Node. And guess what? These two are going to meet up for the first time in Capricorn since the 1500s. The beginning of the 1500s. 15, 16, you start to see the buildup. In 17, bam. In 18, bam. So there's a lot going on right now when it comes to this huge aspect of Holy Mother of God. Am I going to make it through? Am I okay with this? We have to learn to allow things to come in. Because trying to reach out, to grab things, to have things, isn't working. This is a big test about what you can just change within yourself. This is a big test about learning if whether or not you're open in allowing. Because the more all of us as a collective right now can be open to all energies and open to energies that make sense, that are coming in to offer us what we're actually looking for, instead of blocking that and being like, no, I don't know. I'm still trying to live this really victimized hell story I'm going through. No. I'd rather stay in this really shitty story. That's not going to do well, because the sun comes into Libra and we have our equinox on Monday. With Venus in its home sign of Libra, with Mercury in Libra. And remember, as Mercury and Venus now are going to come off their opposition to Chiron, they're getting ready to square over to Saturn. And that's not the most fun. Because both Mercury and Venus are very happy-go-lucky in Libra. They want to find beauty. And they're just going to keep seeing a world that's got a lot of heavy iron, weight to it. And this is going to be a time where you're going to have to really be moldable and flexible. But when the equinox comes into Libra, we have this moon, which is going to come into Cancer, and it's going to be on Rahu in the North Node energy and opposing this Saturn as it's direct. And that is going to be a very weird equinox because that means the next 6 months are definitely not going to be emotionally easy, as the moon and Saturn are going to oppose on the nodes that they're in the signs of those exact planets in their dignity. And I'm just going to be real with you all. I've been trying to prepare people for a long time for this moment. A long time. Because this is where you're going to see the world just completely go in a whole different direction in your life, not only personally, but the way that it looks. Like, it's all been primed, and Saturn literally is the last domino. If you ever watch V is for Vendetta, that last scene, he set all the dominoes up. Saturn has been setting up karma for literally thousands of years for us. And this is where Saturn's going, let's see what happens when I do this. And watch all this domino effect all start connecting in the middle of a lunation cycle that had Uranus and Trine and Taurus. About trying to help us find a better life, to feel better, but we got to try new things. We got to be open to new things, and Taurus doesn't like that. Taurus doesn't want to, I like my brand. Very Taurus, right? It's like, I like my brand of car. I like my brand of dresses. I like my brand of shoes. I like my brand of watch. I like my brand of this. I like that food. I don't like this food. But there's something about us having to try these new things. Like, have you tried this new brand yet? Have you tried this new food yet? Have you tried this? Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready. Well, this is a whole new story that we have to go right. And so, me, I usually come with tons of laughter and I come with tons of, energy. But I'm just here to be completely real that this is serious stuff. And we have to find a way to remember that openness, which what Jupiter and Neptune are all about, and compassion and belief in a positive aspect are core to get through this. But we cannot also believe in delusional things. Saturn is reminding us of that coming direct on Wednesday. Like, if you're like, oh, this situation didn't work out, this job didn't work out, this relationship didn't work out, but you know what, I'm going to believe that it could just somehow get fixed and repaired, and somehow it'll just show back up into my life. Saturn's kind of reminding you, like, are you really going to go believe that BS? Like, are you gonna, because that is extreme BS, right? Jupiter square Neptune is like the ultimate, sleaze energy of just like, yeah, snake oil salesmen, which is ironic because they used to call astrologers snake oil salesmen. But this is like the whole thing of where there's a lot of energy that's being projected on other people and beliefs. Like, believe these people over there, they do this bad. Believe this energy over here, they do this bad. But you got to look in your own life and number one, not just connect with the whole energy of these people or those people, but you got to look at, like, where is your beliefs just going into doubt, or where are you trying to believe in something that actually spiritually left? Doesn't work. It's not connecting to the divine, not connecting to the universe. And where's the energy that is connecting to the universe? I talked a lot about this last week. Open up the energy to that. But Saturn is a businessman. And so if you can't do business in your own life emotionally, like, I got to cut this off, like, this ain't going to work. And this is hard with the North Node in Cancer. It's hard with the moon kind of come into Cancer. Because this equinox is going to be intense. We're coming to the balance beams. We're coming into a 6-month cycle. And I have it in the charts to show you all. And I haven't even mentioned, have you guys seen the helio for this week? I'm going to show you the helio this week. It's insane what's going on during the Saturn direct. It's insane what's going on during Jupiter square Neptune in Geo. And if you don't know the difference, Geo is Earth-based chart. Helio is sun-based chart with the sun at the center and just watching the planets with no retrogrades and how it goes around. We are at a major cataclysmic, transformational, unpredictable, and more extreme than that, multi-dimensional shift in our life. There's a lot of crossroads going on here that a lot of people picked their side a long time ago in karmic choices, and we are going to see the deliverance of that. I know that's a lot to process there. But when you really take into consideration the moon as well this week in Taurus to start off, and then coming into Gemini, that's going to be in the middle of this Jupiter square Neptune. We're going to get a mutable cross this week in the middle of a Saturn direct on the south node. And to add, why don't we just add that Mars is with Jupiter and Neptune in square, even though it's just come off, but let's just add the moon that will square all that and create this big mutable cross and, just create this chaotic, mental, belief, spiritual circus while we're at a lower vibrational energy and trying to learn how to deal with it. That's where Virgo just keeps you to stop looking at every little thing and just remember, that's the analytics of that, but if we're okay, so I'm going to use the analogy of a computer. To me, Virgo, I know Gemini gets much more computer, but I think Virgo is where the computer comes together, like the motherboard. It's got the mother energy. It holds the processor. That's what connects a hard drive into it. That's what connects your graphics card. And then, computers are really easy to make. But it's like, what your computer's doing every day, if you're watching this on a computer right now, or even your phone, right inside that little motherboard on your phone or whatever you're watching this on, there is a biosystem in there going, okay, how hot is it? Even on your iPhone, have you ever had it on your windshield and it's gotten really hot and you're talking to somebody and then it just went, it just stopped, it got really slow and then it just needs to cool down and it just goes, because there's no fans on phones. So that's what they do. The little BIOS is checking the little Virgo, uh-oh, we're getting really hot, turn it off. Well, on computers, what does it do? Turn the fan on higher. Have you ever been on your bed and you're like, oh my God, this thing's so hot, and then you just hear the fan going, Aah! That's you in your life right now. Ah! Because this thing's trying to cool this all off, but it's kind of hard to cool it all off. And instead of focusing on every little bit of what's not working and how the chaotic aspect is, because now the motherboard, the computer is going to freak out. Your mind's going to freak out. You know why? Because this is too much. This didn't work out, or I don't like this, how it's going. It's just all we have to do is use this verb and go are we alive and okay? And maybe for 1 second, I don't need to keep analyzing all these situations. And why am I still focused on this that didn't work out? Why am I focused on this that's not working out? Let me focus on a beam line of what the plan is in my life for the betterment of myself and just keep walking through it. Because, there is something to say about safety and all this stuff in life. The way they build these computers is to be super safe. But if, for the gamers out there, and I'm not a gamer, I used to be, but the way that these computers are built, you can overclock it. You can literally make your life in a computer world. You could say, fuck the safety, and I'm going to overclock it. It's the same thing in your car. Why do you think guys out there will come up to their wife's car and be like, hey, babe, I'm going to put this chip in it. Just, you'll go a lot faster. You know why? Because all those EPA things and all that shit they put on there to make it to where it can't perform at full efficiency. So we're freaking out as we're in safe mode. When the truth is, it's why are you freaking out? You're not going to die here. You're not going to have everything fall apart. There's great things to go. You just kind of have to walk through this one and stay positive and focus on, empathetic aspects to people, empathy to yourself, and know that everybody is putting their suits and dresses on to go to this crazy intense show that we all have no idea what it's going to look like with Jupiter square Neptune. But it's been hyped up a lot because if you look at the world right now, we all are hyped up seeing what's going to happen. What's going to happen with this whole thing with Iran or Saudi Arabia, or is it Yemen? While the China stuff's going on, while we got the British aspect that's going insane, with Hong Kong going on. You don't think that's all coincidence, do you? This is a show that they've been waiting for us to watch. And you got to put your suit on, or you got to put that beautiful dress on now, and you got to go walk a red carpet, and you got to act like everything's good, when internally you're like, what the hell? Because what is above is down below. And above is chaotic at the moment. But it's about Saturn, about learning how to, I got to still show up and put the show on. And there's a lot that we're going to learn from this week. And the best thing I can give you advice for this week to get through it, open up to love. If love isn't showing up in a certain area in your life, You don't put any energy towards it. All you do is go, where's love coming from? Okay, there's love, there's love, there's love, there's love. And putting that love back. But if you're going to try and resurrect the dead with Pluto and Pluto and Capricorn, with Mars trining it, and like, oh yeah, I can have this. This is a big ego lesson this week. The sickness is then that you feel that you have control of your life. The sickness is that you feel that you have the free will to just, at any moment, change how you want to do. All that we have, the real change is our perception about it. How we view it. A better view of what's going on. A different view of what's going on. The movie's still playing, though. A scary movie is a lot different when you're making out with a hot person up in the back corner of a movie theater than it is in the front row. You know what I mean? By yourself. Take a look at the charts. So, we got a lot of charts to look at today, so we are going to run into these right now. And I appreciate you all today being here a little later to get this thing on the road. I had to get it on the road. All right. Are we working or? Oh, cool. Very nice. So, here we are. I just did this chart. See, I tried to get the show ready at 6:38 tonight, and it is 9:59. It took over 3.5 hours to get to this point, but we're here. Here's the sun, last week of Virgo. So here it is coming, and there's no aspects to the sun this week. So, we just got to do the Virgo thing. What makes sense in our reality? What's pure? Stay in that space. But this is what's been hard, this Mercury-Venus, as it's been an opposite to Chiron, because the truth has come out. What's working and what's not in relationships and projects, where you're frustrated and where's your ego trying to still somehow create beauty in a place that there is no beauty defined there anymore. It's over. This is the first time in our lives we've been aware of Chiron and Aries since Chiron was founded in 77, and Chiron was in Taurus at that time. So, we've never really witnessed this deep into Chiron and Aries, and especially with this intense energy everywhere. Venus in its home sign opposed Chiron like this, with Mercury on top. No, we never see it like this. And, Mercury's trying to understand all these relationship dynamics, trying to understand how to feel better in a more beautiful life, but it's coming into a hard aspect with Chiron. Just like, yeah, you know what? It's not going the way we all want it to go. This is the biggest ego lesson of our lives, of learning how to surrender to spirit more, to surrender to the universe more, and to surrender to the things that actually show up in our life, not the things that we want to have that aren't really working. Because that's the problem, is if you actually think about it, beauty is found when we just go, you know what? God's showing me up with this, let me take that. But no, it's everybody's going through this whole ego thing. Like, no, you know what? It's not looking the way I want to, or I want to keep that relationship. They're not showing up. They're not in it. Like, oh, okay, really? Good luck. And I know it's difficult. This is a difficult time to deal with these things. But I'm also an optimist, so I can't say that there's not great things, because there are. That's the funniest part, is the most amazing things are all around us. But are we going to just sit in the middle of this pain and this frustration and the slowness and the things that are just not working the way that we want them to work? Or are we going to actually go into the things that are being offered that can work, and the solutions and the compassion, and more importantly, the openness that we need to find is something so beautiful in our lives that could change our lives forever? Are we going to close that, or are we going to open that? I can tell you all with true sincerity, and I'm going to say this, if your children are around, cover their ears, but thank fucking God this shit's over, Saturn, retrograde on the South Node. This has been 5 months long. 5 months. And the reason why I'm happy about it, because we're not going to see this in our lives again, and this is feeling the hardest, most intense karmic letdowns ever. It's also showing you the truth of what is showing up with integrity and what is not. So that's a hard time. Because it's not so much about the external, like, oh, that thing is not of integrity. That person on TV is not of integrity. This person did this to me. They're not of integrity. No, it's what is in your life that you're not holding your integrity about, whatever these external situations, because Jupiter square Neptune is like the biggest projector ever of just projections. So you're having this huge projection of all the things inside of you that are testing your integrity and how you deal with them. And how we either lose it or how we learn a spiritual lesson from it and go, that's my pattern. That's what I'm ending karmically. Instead of, oh, I'm just going to go play that story again. Let me just go play that story again. Another life. Do you really want to go through like another 200 million year cycle through the galaxy? Who knows when we're opening up all these dimensions? Now, the more I'm looking at it, this thing could be even longer in what we understand in time. You might even have to get back in a line. And then you go through the line and you wait eternity, and then it feels like eternity at least. It might be in Earth way, in Kronos' way, like billions of years, and then you get to the life and you're like, wait, this is the first one? And there you are, and you're a particle. And you're like, what? I had it so good there on Earth. And I waited all that time and all that shit to go replay that stupid story again? Fuck. I don't want you to end up in that space, because this is where this thing's changing a lot. So here we are on the 18th, and this thing is going to be really intense, all right? So here we are. Saturn comes direct exactly at 2:38 a.m. Wednesday morning. West Coast, 5:38 a.m. East. So Saturn is now ready to go trek up the mountain. That's the sea goat, the mystical sea goat. And Saturn, of course, looks like a ship, the captain of a ship. The captain is literally, I think it's funny because of course, if you're in Australia and you're in Europe, it's not the same. But here in America, I think it's funny because it's like, what does a captain do in the morning? It wakes everybody up earlier than you want to be woken up. And it goes, let's go. And you're like, no, I just want to sleep. I just want to keep chilling out. You know, one thing when I was at boot camp, even though I was the leader and I was the one that got woken up by whoever was on patrol duty, because you always have to have somebody on patrol inside your boot camp and in your barracks. But, you know, you always have to wake up the RPOC. Hey, RPOC, get up. Okay, you know, so I always got up early. But when you're in charge, you know, it's like you have to be up with all your showered and ready to go and to yell at people and make sure that they are going to look like you. You have to be the example of it. So a captain is always the first one up, and he gets ready and he gets his coffee done and everybody's asleep, and then he wakes up all the sailors and he wakes up get the fuck up and get to battle stations. And it's like, what? I'm not ready at all. Like, you know, and there's always that girl that's like, my hair. And I'm like, I was like, no, get on the line. Like, okay. That energy is coming here. You can feel it. But it's here to go, like, let's straighten you out here, because all this Jupiter, Neptune stuff has gotten you all fucked up. That's what Saturn's doing. He's like, gosh, you've gotten really emotional over this. And it's like a healer coming in and being like, no, you know what? Let me get your spine back in alignment. Let me get this back in alignment. It's okay. You've been going through a lot, but we need to get going. So you got to kind of deal with this right now. And that's what Mars trine Pluto's doing. So if we actually look at this, like, here's Mars 1952. Ooh, wow, that Mars is definitely trying to Pluto. Pluto there at 20. And that's going on during Saturn's turning itself on. Remember when a planet goes stationary direct, right? It's leaving its retrograde motion. So if we take a look at this here on a little thing, so we use Saturn as a boat. And so since the planets move this way, so Saturn's been going, right? And it stopped. And then it comes back. And then it stops. Now we're going in the place where it moves forward again, right? Well, this turnaround of the planet is very slow, because if you were to understand how it works with an ephemeris, or even if you were to watch a clock of an ephemeris, like the planet goes tit, 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 And if it's a slow planet like Saturn, it will literally stay there stopped. Now, a Mercury retrograde does this. Mercury retrograde does that, then it does that, and then it turns around and it kind of stops for a minute, and then it kind of goes this, you know what I mean? And Saturn kind of does this whole, and it just stays there. And it's just, but even though now Saturn's now direct and moving forward, it's just like, get into gear. But it's going to take a minute here for this thing to get forward, but the South Node's there as well too, and it's going to be a big, big test. It's like the ultimate test of, are you going to go backwards into old karma? And why is that? Well, as we got not only Pluto trine Mars, which makes people go, you know what, I'm going to just, I think I could start with a fresh slate, but am I going to take this old thing back in? Pluto and Capricorn's kind of that, you know, especially with 2 weeks more left in retrograde, like, oh, maybe I can still bring back the dead of something that really didn't work out. Something that's already on the list of the Grim Reaper to kill. Maybe I can like pull it off the list. Because Mars trine Pluto takes the ego and goes, oh, I can get whatever I want. Well, you want to be careful with that because with Saturn on the South Node and now direct, remember, it's us remembering ourselves like, let's not go back into old stories. Let's not go back into old karmic ones. Let's not go back into past life shit we don't want to go through again. Let's not go back into, you know, when people talk about soulmates or they talk about all that, we don't know, twin flames, all this shit, like, what is connecting to you now? Everybody's got soulmates. Everybody's got, you know, everybody's got all this kind of stuff. But what is in connection? That's the big thing. Because Jupiter square Neptune is totally the ultimate, you got to look at it from both ways. So if we look at Jupiter, here it is at 16 degrees. As Saturn comes direct, 1637. So wow, right? And let's look at Neptune, 1705. That is a direct square. We're only half a degree away. I mean, it's exact. So Jupiter, when it's squaring over to Neptune, it will tell any belief that it wants and even be subconsciously believing something that has no fact or reality at all to it. And Neptune in retrograde square Jupiter is like, okay, I'm reflecting on a lot of deep things that I've been going through with my sensitivities, the things that I'm confused about, that the universe doesn't want. But am I going to believe that maybe it's not over? Is that cycle going to continue? This is about cycles. Because all three of these positions, all right, all three, as I do my quick erase here, all three, boom, we'll circle them big. Saturn direct on the South Node. Look at that too, 13, 14. So Saturn has to hump over the South Node, okay? That's why I'm saying do not go backwards right now. Holy moly. You want to talk about it? I know we use alien babies as a good example. Now I'm going to bring up predator babies. You don't want to know what a predator baby is. And with Neptune, patterns, and Jupiter, it has its patterns, but it's much more of, you know, the higher mind, the belief patterns that we get, especially with the square, though, to Neptune. These go back a long time. These go back subconscious. This also is media-induced, spiritually induced stuff. So we don't want to go backwards right now because Jupiter square Neptune is like, I'm not going to get good luck if I go into my Neptune back world. I am if I'm in a good spiritual space, a good imaginative space, but this is also escapism at its deepest core, and that's what I want to bring up is escapism. People are going to be like, I'm getting the fuck off this boat. I don't want to go in this new direction. I don't want to try this new life. I don't want to try this new way. This is just a life I'm not ready for. I'm going to go backwards. This was comfortable for me. This is easier for me. It's easier if I go back. It's easier if I go backwards. I'm just going to go back. Go back. Let me try that old thing again. Let me try and resurrect the dead. Let me try and bring back something that I know already doesn't work. Really? Because Jupiter's not going to bring you a good road down that way. Jupiter square Neptune is not good that way. And Neptune square Jupiter in retrograde is like, no, let's not start enhancing and believing in our patterns being good, that are not good. and escapism patterns. And especially with the North Node in Cancer, everybody wants emotion right now. This is where Rahu is. It's an insatiable need for emotion. It's an insatiable need to feel safe. It's an emotional need to feel connected emotionally. Some just like, whether you want to call that cuddling or in a bed, and when you're dealing with Venus and Mercury in Libra now, and with the opposition to Chiron, it's like, I will do anything to fucking just feel something good in my life. Holy shit. So it's easy to just go like, well, maybe let me call up the old person that fucking used to do that for me. Hey, you want to make a predator baby with me right now? Let's do it. And you have to add that moon in Taurus during this whole entire Saturn direct, because that moon in Taurus is on top of Uranus and it's coming into a lot of aspects, right? It's going to trine over to Mars. Oh yeah, we're going to get a grand trine. Mars, Pluto, the moon in Taurus. Oh, I can get whatever I want to feel good. Well, are you paying attention to what you're doing? Jupiter square Neptune, Saturn direct. You've got to have you better brush your teeth before you just start eating, candy for breakfast. And are you really sure that you really want to eat that edible? Because the last time you ate it and you tried to go to work, you got so high that you ended up in your car passed out fucking with your drooling. You really want to go back in that relationship that became so chaotic and they called you this and they called you that, and then more importantly, they really don't want to be in your life, and you already know that? But no, you know what, I'm going to try it still. Like, let me just give this a try. Because you're not ready to deal with your escapism of dealing with a new comfortable life by straightening things out and receiving a new imaginative place that you haven't actually experienced yet. That's positive, and it's more connected to who you are spiritually and more connected to the new experiences that we need to go on. Because Neptune can blur the idea of new experience and use experience to go back in time. You want to go backwards? It's very nostalgic. Saturn on the South Node, Jupiter square Neptune. I'm a history person. I love history. Go read a history book. Go watch a documentary. But don't start doing that in your own life and trying to replay old documentaries. I've been watching one on Theodore Roosevelt lately. Like, I don't know if I want to go to Cuba with Theodore Roosevelt, and start singing, with the old town tonight and like jumping on a horse and, getting killed and a bunch of people getting killed and shit. I don't know if I want to go down that road. He's one of the only presidents that actually killed anybody. I don't know if you all know that. Washington did. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, do you really want to start playing documentaries in your life and living them again? Or are you going to take this energy and use what's new and move into great energy? Because what scares me the most about all this stuff is that grand trine, as I'll show you here on the 18th, that moon, trine Mars, trine Pluto. Now we can use this for good. Pluto wants, transformation. The moon in Taurus with Uranus there means new, that you haven't been to yet. And Mars in Virgo is like, something that actually in my life honors my sovereign virgin self. Starts from a new place. Because one thing about a virgin is once it's been tainted, it's always tainted. That you can't take virginity away. You know what I mean? Like somebody asks, like, when did you lose your virginity? It's like, the age, and there's no way for you to go, well, yeah, I can erase that one. It really didn't matter. That was my first time or whatever. You can't erase that shit. So Mars is saying in Virgo, trine to Pluto and trine to the moon in Taurus, and Uranus is there in Taurus. Pluto's all about transformation in Capricorn, and Saturn's now direct on the South Node. Like, let's not go back into old past shit. Like, let's go into the future. And this is all about moving into the future, into new stuff and beautiful things and getting over your insecurities, your patterns, and your escapism and your abuses of escapism. That happens in drugs, alcohol, to coffee, to me and my fucking vape. Why do you think maybe these things are going to be gone? Whoop. Or who knows? Maybe who knows? I have no idea. That's going to be a crazy one to think about. But this is a time where with Jupiter now, square that Neptune midday on the 18th. I'm telling you, 18th is a big day. And we're going to start to see the world turn. And it's ironic because I'm doing this for some people on the 18th already. All right, so as we move on, things start to get pretty intense because the moon comes into Gemini as Mars is trining Pluto. So Mars is trining Pluto, and now we start to get these emotions that go, I need stimulation. I need environments that are stimulating. I need this, that's going to be stimulating. And it's going to be trine to Venus and Mercury that are in Libra. So this is actually going to be, I'm ready to find a new angle that's positive to connect, that makes sense in my environment, that's logical, that the facts make sense. Because if we're just going off of desire and pleasure to go into old stories, that's not going to be well. But this moon is going to be like, okay, because you got to follow the moon with the North Node in Cancer for the 18 months that North Node is in Cancer. We're already halfway through, so this North Node's already halfway through. And if you've noticed that, now that the North Node's on the other side, we're going into more extreme emotional waters. Like it's getting deeper of where we need to feel fulfilled, because you know what it's like when you're not fulfilled. You feel empty now. Extremely. But are you really taking on energy that's going to fulfill you really the good way, or are you gonna really play some really bad old tunes? And this moon in Gemini is saying, hey, let's look at the facts. What's balanced? Who's on my same energy level? Who's on the right thing? And Mercury is in an air sign, so the moon actually is happy. Like the moon's like, I have not. Well, actually, Mercury's more happy. Mercury's like, at least the moon is getting along with me in an air sign. At least I can think with my emotions clear and balanced and figure this out. So this is positive. But that Mars still trying Pluto is like, oh man, I can have whatever I want. Well, why not, if you're going to have anything, have a new story. Build a new script. Why do you think we're in a time right now? Oh, this will blow your fucking heads up amazingly, and I'm going to hit my vape during this one, but why do you think there's so many redos this year, and has been for years, of movies? I was watching something the other day, and they're like going to try and bring back, or I was talking to Craig, and Dan Aykroyd's trying to bring back Ghostbusters. At first I was like, that might be cool, but I'm like, God, you know what's so sad is everything right now is old redos of everything. And you know what you do? You watch it, you think it's all right. You know what you do? You go watch the old one, and you feel the original part of the old one. But you have to remember that was back then in that time. So if you're going to go try and redo something that's already over and already been done, it's like, really? They tried to bring back Full House. They called it Fuller House on Netflix. Look what happened to Homegirl. And her whole scandal came out. Look what happened to Will Smith. That motherfucker was getting jiggy with it and badass and looked like the weirdest motherfucker I've ever seen in my life as the genie. When you start adding this whole, I'm going to take this old feeling I had in this old situation that karmically ended, it was done. How, I'm just going to speak from my honest heart right here. How could you do that to Robin Williams and try and redo it? Nobody can beat Robin Williams as a genie. I'm sorry. And you're going to go try and bring into this reality right now, this escapism element of I'm going to try and redo it all over again. Do you really think it's going to feel the same again? No. So this is where we need to use our imagination to create new things. That's why I'm so excited that they made a movie called Ford versus Ferrari that's coming out soon, because they did about it. It's an old story, but at least it's never been done. About when Ford was ready to go beat Ferrari in racing, and in 90 days made a car that did it. So, it's okay, there's an actual story, but again, it's attached to an old story. What happened to stories that are unique and different and unique to itself? I just watched A Star Is Born the other night, and I had watched it before, but only half of it, because I don't know, I was not paying attention when I got it during the Oscars, and I was doing Oscar predictions and stuff. And long story short, it was man, that movie got me. That movie fucking got me. It was a deep-ass movie. I don't want to give it away to people, but, what happened to Bradley Cooper in that movie? Like, do you really want that to happen to you? He couldn't let go of his old stories. And as we move to Friday, this is where things get pretty gnarly. I'm going to be honest with you. And the reason why is because this moon is about to enter into a space that creates a mutable cross. So if you don't know what a mutable cross is, you can see it. Right here, Jupiter squared to Mars. All right? Mars square the moon. Jupiter square Neptune within like less than 10 minutes, which is nothing in mathematics. It's like less than centimeters for those Americans and less than millimeters for those Euros. And Neptune square the moon. And so that creates a cross. In astrology, any mutable cross is chaotic because these are all mutable signs dealing with change. And this change is happening as Saturn has now been direct for a couple days. The sun's now entering the end of Virgo. And so anybody on this day, if they're born, is going to have a pretty crazy year, one. So I'll put that out there. Two, that this is gnarly because this is a moment where we are not understanding where anything's going on because there's too many stimulant, changing, mutable energies all over the place. And Jupiter and Neptune rule this mutable cross because they're in their home signs. So we've got to look at beliefs and we've got to look at conditions of subconscious patterns. And more importantly, imagination that's not connected to patterns, but like imagination that definitely is something that we can believe in, that we know we're going to do something positive with it. We're going to go somewhere to a better dimension of a life. We're going to try to go somewhere beyond. It reminds me of like, this is the moment where either you're going to go walk with Buzz Lightyear to infinity and beyond to some new place, or you're going to go hang out with, like, I don't know why A Clockwork Orange came out in my head, but you know what I mean? Like, whoa, because Jupiter square Neptune is really, okay, Chucky. Or Jupiter square Neptune is just like, there's something weird about this. I don't really know. Chucky's a good example. He looks like a toy. He looks like he's a good time, doesn't he? No. Freaking. And when you got Mars in the middle of this, yeah. And the moon in Gemini, like, oh, I'm emotionally like trying to figure this one out. Oh my God. And I'm squaring Neptune, so I'm really confused, but I got the opposition of Jupiter. Oh, I don't know. Do I believe? Because moon opposed Jupiter by itself is already like, oh, I believe. Like, yeah, this emotionally could happen, but there's the square to Mars being like, And that also creates quincunx from Pluto over to the moon. And so this is going to be a stressed moon. And that also means that the moon is going to be squaring over to the sun in Virgo, with it being in Gemini, come this weekend. Craziness about reality and the environment that you're going to choose is going to take you to infinity and beyond, into a new world and of positive aspects, and cleansing all the past situations and old stories. And some people have been writing me comments like, I can't believe all you talk about is the past. I'm like, well, I'm sorry to say that we talk about the new age all the time. Well, how do we get to a new age? End the fucking past. And your old past shit, and your old past patterns, and these old stories, and these old attachments. I mean, come on, it's like written all over the stars. And I'm sorry to say that the planets that are taking a long time, like Neptune, for example, is in the sign that rules the past. Saturn is on the south node. That is a past karmic crazy situation. These are long-term transits, and they're hitting hard. Hard. This is gnarly. This is extreme beyond extreme astrology. And if you want to add to boot, boom, Mercury is going to square to Saturn, which is very depressive. I'm going to be very honest with you all. It is not positive. It's very hard to see good and clear. But you have to remember that Mercury is going to sextile over to Jupiter after that. So there's good news on the other side of just keeping your head down and biting the bullet and not trying to escape what's coming up, and that the outlet is bringing in the new, that the beautiful, the new way of expressing your life, the new way, and to connect with God and what is godly and what is showing up through that. This is actually a very godly transit. But if you're going to let the chaos of the world and the chaos of your past stuff that you want to connect with create the stimulation that'll fulfill you for just a minute and then you'll be empty. And you want to talk about relationship shit? Mercury, Venus? Okay, yeah, they're coming into square with Saturn. They've opposed Chiron now. And we're getting ready for an equinox. And remember that because Saturn's direct and Pluto is getting ready to come on October 3rd, that we are beginning the transits of major relationship stuff that I was talking about in my video, that it was this week that it was going to start getting gnarly, where the choices are made. And are you going to go into the past or are you going to go into the new? And I think that things are being revealed to you right now of like this amazing road that makes so much sense and a road that makes no sense at all. And are you going to really go on the road that makes no fucking sense at all? For real? And so when we come into this weekend, we come into the big sun square the moon while Mercury's squaring over to Saturn. So there's Mercury at 1240, there's Saturn. Stop. This is actually positive because Mercury's at full speed, okay? So it's not like, oh man, like we're going to deal with Mercury square Saturn a long time. Like Mercury's like, I'm fucking running past this motherfucker. I don't want to even look at it, you know? It's kind of like, and I know that this might sound horrible, but you know, one of the main stories today is Trump is in LA because he's going to try and fix homelessness here in LA and in San Francisco, which I'm supporting the president on this one because it's bad. I mean, it was so bad last night, I got home really late, like 2:45 in the morning. I had to go through a drive-thru to get food, and I had just my sunroof open. And you know what? There's like a whole homeless encampment now. They're just going anywhere. And you know what? I'm all about people being able to be people. Like, I get it. But you know, the way that they use the money in the cities, and this is where all the corruption of Saturn is and Pluto and the government stuff, like, come on, like they're putting all this money in their own pockets and they could go create better homeless shelters and better places, but they're hanging out right in front of the place where you're getting food. And it smells so bad that literally it was coming through my sunroof. So, you know what I did? I got my food, I closed it, I just went, Meep! And that's just me truth talking, I'll be real. That's what Mercury's doing. Like, fuck this situation. Like, I don't want to look at that. But at the same time, you got to understand what it is and be like, okay, I'm making my turn. And so if you start on, especially Thursday, Friday, when you come into this big mutable cross and you come into Saturday, Mercury's going to be like, oh shit, I'm going to hit the truth. It's about understanding that. Plus, moon square over to the sun. This is the 3/4 square of the moon. This is a waning moon. We are now waiting for the next new moon that'll be in Libra. And guess what? We are still not done with that new moon that was trine Uranus in Virgo 3 weeks prior. No, we're not. So we're still in this whole Uranian crazy, in and out, random, but trying to free yourself into new. I will say new all over again. New. You are going to have to push yourself harder than ever in your life, not about frustrations and barriers and all this shit, because those barriers are you not willing to take in the new. That's why you're frustrated. That there's a new path. Oh, I don't want to try that yet. There's a new karma. I don't want to try that one yet. That's where it's at. So this moon in Gemini square the sun in the middle of a big mutable cross. And this is the exact day on Saturday when Jupiter is square Neptune exactly for the last time. And then Jupiter comes off. But man, oh man, oh man. Do not look at your reality and start creating an environment that makes no logical sense. The facts are there emotionally. Like, I don't feel good about this fact that That person slaps me in the face. Why am I trying to do that? The fact that this person yells at me every time that I play my music when I go to bed. Why make that your reality? Oh, well, Jupiter square Neptune, like, oh, you know what? I'm going to believe in that might change. Ha, ha. You know, Jupiter square Neptune is like somebody on a fucking shit ton of LSD, ecstasy, heroin, methamphetamine, and smoking a Juul vape right before they go illegal. And being like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, it's going to be great. That's the negative side. The positive side is like, these are my patterns. I am not going down my pattern. I see it. I see that there's a higher vibration for me to be, and I'm going to go there. And Saturn is wanting integrity now, direct. And integrity is just about choices made that make sense for the long term in your life, that makes sense for building a better life, that actually is going to work better for you because it's trying to hold down, even though it's got a bad rap since it's been with the South Node for a long time. Saturn's like, hey, I'm almost done with the South Node thing and you guys can all like me again. Like, you know, Saturn's like, I've had my blinders on for a while, so like just give me a second here. I'm going to get through this thing and then you're going to watch me conjunct Pluto and it's going to be a whole new reality I'm here to create. But there's this aspect where there's blinders on high of trying to go backwards, and Mercury in Libra square Saturn, and Venus is right behind it trying to do that too. And actually Venus on that day is going to be making aspects to Aldebaran and Taurus. That's a whole nother story I could bring up. But yeah, this power aspect of like, oh, you have the power to have this, yeah, the power to have that. And that Mars trying Pluto too. You definitely don't want to start playing around with Chiron retrograde in Aries with Mars aspects and in this kind of dominating element and with a bunch of blinders on and, you know, subconscious triggers and trying to play your past and trying to go into escapism. Just start barreling yourself down a really downward spiral. So as Sunday comes, the 22nd of September, this is the last day of Virgo. And what's interesting is Mercury now is off of Saturn. See how fast Mercury's going? Thank God Mercury's going fast and Saturn stopped. So that Mercury square Saturn's a very close, like quick hit. But the main thing is looking at this moon in Cancer now. Whew. Because I'll show you guys the Equinox chart here in a second. But this is intense because now Jupiter is done with its square to Neptune. Neptune's in retrograde now at 16, Jupiter's at 17, so we're coming off. And anytime finally a planet's finished something, I know there's astrologers out there that will teach, oh, well, it's still in 3-degree orb after. The direct hit, the last hit, that's the peak of the energy, and then things start, you know. Jupiter, like think about it with people, right? Like the fight's over, okay, but you're still in the environment of a fight, but there is something about like, I don't have to fight him again, I don't need to punch him again, I'm like walking off the stage, like, show's over, like, you know, I'm kind of processing the show. You're not going to be dealing with the show, though, anymore. And so I think that Sunday is finally a day where we can really go with the last day of Virgo and use this last day of Virgo in the right way. Like, this makes sense for my reality. Saturn's direct. You know, let's do something good. And with the moon here, you know, the moon is going to be making this amazing aspect that can be really intensely harsh, but it is to me the catalyst of what the next 6 months are going to be about. Because to have the moon on the North Node in Cancer in its home sign, and that's where the node is. Remember, the moon's nodes are the moons. The nodes are the nodes of the moon. So to have it in Cancer already is powerful enough, and the moon there. But with Saturn on the South Node in its home sign, and now it's direct, we are going to feel the most intense we've ever felt emotionally since things that were going on in April. Like, look at your life. Go back on your Instagram or your Facebook or something. Go look at your life from that April into May, because that was gnarly. Because one, that was the last time you would have seen right before the nodes when they were close to Saturn, but not directly on it like this, like with a direct motion that just happened and like right on there. And with the moon coming on top of the North Node, you know, there's this opposition point of both in their home signs and both with the nodes in those signs. With Mercury square Saturn. And even Venus is beginning its square to Saturn. So instead of looking at this as rejection of energies that didn't work out in your life, you need to look at this as like, because I have Venus square Saturn, so I have to deal with a lot of rejection issues. And I talked about that last night, and I don't need to go into that. But I'm just going to say that the main thing is, you know what? It's not rejection. It's about, and you know, you can go into a lot of old astrology texts for this. Venus square Saturn is hard work pays off. People born with Venus square Saturn always make it. You know why? Because they don't take the shortcuts. This is a week where if you take shortcuts, you will fail. And shortcuts are easy ways out too. Like, oh, you know what? The shortcut is like, I'm going to just quit. Or I'm just not going to, you know, do the hard work. Like, I'm going to just go into this Jupiter square Neptune chaotic situation, mutable whole cross, and go stimulate myself and go do something crazy just to get through it. Don't take shortcuts. Saturn is in Capricorn direct. It is not fucking around no more. And because Saturn's actually amped up, like, hey, I'm getting off the south node and I got Pluto getting ready to come direct and we get to meet up and I get the power of Pluto. And you know what? I brought up Jafar, I don't know when, maybe it was last week or no, maybe it was this week. But I don't even know, we're all lost in time too. That's the other thing with Saturn coming online is time is all over the place. Jupiter square Neptune, like we are in a timeless state. But I will tell you that Jafar always wanted to be this genie, you know? It was his biggest trap. Shortcut. Because in that moment, Jafar could have won. He was a sorcerer. He's like, I've got you, Aladdin. Jasmine sitting in the sands of time, about to suffocate. I can't believe they show this to children. But, you know, it's like, ah! And right there, smart little Aladdin, who uses his whole thing like, I'm a street rat, I steal from people. He even tells that to the genie, like, I got this. Fucking uses his street rat shit and goes, hey man, fucking, hey Jafar, you're not fucking powerful. He made you powerful. And he's like, oh, shortcut, yeah, genie, I wish to be a genie. Like, not thinking, not observing, not using Jupiter and Neptune to look at the vast horizon of what the fuck is going on before. Am I going to go backwards? And am I going into a trap? Neptune is traps. This is overdose to the highest degree on I'm going to go into a past old story, or even escapism overdoses, or just overdosing in general in every negative way in your life. Like, you know what? I'm just going to eat all the pizza tonight, and I'm going to eat all the cinnamon sticks, and I'm going to eat, what else do you got in here? Like, and you know, it's like, last time you did that, it didn't go too well. You're diabetic, you know. So, as we finish this off, here's the equinox. September 23rd, which is my grandmother's birthday, by the way, everybody. My Oma is going to be 94 years old. I love you, Oma, with all my heart. This sun is at the equinox, and we are going to have a major, major equinox, because depending on where you're at in the world, so I've done this in my head. So if you're on the West Coast, the moon's at 15 Cancer. If you're on the East Coast, you know, it's just going to be an interesting time. That's all I'm going to say. Just because when all this happens, I mean, in America, it really doesn't matter. I guess maybe we're going to have the moon rising with the North Node in America, basically. Although it's going to be a couple hours ahead. It's going to be still nighttime. Might be the moon in the 11th for New York. I haven't looked it up yet. But the main part of this story is this moon post-Saturn. And this next 6 months, we're on the nodes. We're going to go through a lot of emotional, deep, hard tests. Any moon-Saturn transit in opposition, especially, and in their dignified positions, is very difficult. But it's very empowering, and it's what changes the direction of your emotional life. It makes you tougher, but it also makes you emotionally understand the value of what to use your emotions for, instead of putting them into things that aren't going to go somewhere, or more importantly, have you grow. And this is a growth. This is a beautiful growth. And you know, the most beautiful things grow in the hardest ways. all of us had to grow in our mother's belly for, some people only 4 or 5 months and had to be in an incubator to like a machine that kept them alive, to some of us who were 9 months but still had to either, go through the labor process and get, go through this thing where we come in this world and they're chopping off our freaking, whatever you call it, your belly thing. I don't even know. You're freaking, I can't think right now. But, this is us having to learn how to deal with really intense, emotional, and in alignment with true integrity to move into the right place and to not get attached to the past. Not believe in this crazy old past to come back into your life, because Libra is a judge. And the hard part about this, of course, with any time you deal with the sun at the equinox point in Libra, is the sun is at its fall position. It's at its weakest point. So not to say, I'm sorry to say, I don't want Libras out there to think, oh my God, like, is that why I'm so fucked up? No, I'm just kidding. But no, the sun is at fall in Libra because it doesn't want to be strong in Libra. You know why? Because what creates the most beautiful sunsets is when the sun is falling. But there is that aspect of Libra too, where it's not dominant about self. It's dominant about how do we bring two energies together and find a common ground. So the sun has to definitely dissolve its ego as much as it can to be a diplomat. And we have to be diplomatic to ourselves and start to balance out as the sun, even though it's not exact, but it is making this aspect of, well, I really need to start to pay attention to emotionally if this is good for me and if it's of showing up with the integrity, or am I wasting my time? Am I putting my emotions in this energy that's not going to go anywhere? Am I putting my emotions in the wrong places? Am I putting it in a place that's detrimental to my beauty and my happiness? And with Mercury square Saturn and with Venus getting ready to square Saturn, yeah, it's like we're going to have to put in some hard work. And with Neptune, that's going to be in quincunx to Mercury, and the moon in quincunx and north node to Jupiter, yeah, we do need to go into new experiences to feel the right thing. We do need to, with Mercury in Libra in quincunx to Neptune, be like, you know what? And with sextile to Jupiter, you know what? Let's balance out this. Yeah, I've got my patterns. I've got things that I need to be maybe more observant of and understand more. But you know what? I understand myself because I've been through those patterns, and I'm not going to go through them again. And I'm going to be discerning more. And so I think that this is a Monday, and this is an equinox that has so much great aspects if you know how to be discerning and if you know how to truly find beauty, and that it's not just in today's society. Like, I'll be honest, I went through the drive-thru last night at 2 a.m. Do you think what I ate was fucking beautiful? No, it was chopped out real fast, and that thing probably was sitting there for hours before they even reheated it. So think about that. Like, are you just looking for the quick bang? No, Saturn is not a quick bang, I'm sorry to say. And if you ever notice Capricorns who like quick bangs, like, they usually don't go too well in life, you know what I mean? Like, when Tiger Woods tried to go for the quick bang, didn't go too well, you know what I mean? So there's a part of us not going for quick, but going for depth, or things that have had long-term traction that are also not past situations that didn't work out or whatever, but they've been building and growing and evolving. And this is about evolving into something beautiful. I only have a couple charts to show you left, and I'm finishing this up, is the helio. Because on the day that we have Saturn come direct here, and actually at this moment I did, in the helio, this is now the chart of the sun at the center of the chart, okay? Now what we have here is Mars in direct opposition to Neptune. So that Mars-Neptune opposition happened on Earth. But from the sun's point of view, right now, Mars is going to be directly opposing Neptune. And that's why this Saturn direct feels so lost and feels so frustrating. Because you're having to learn to let go, and you're having, more importantly, to learn that by learning to just go with the flow, that everything will go the right way. And I think that our perceptions of what we want and how we're going to get it are off. And I brought up time as a big deal because look at this. So Venus is going to be squaring Saturn this week. So if we get off the transit of the 17th, I only ran a couple helio charts for you all, so we're going to go here in a sec. But it's on the 18th during Saturn's full direct that Venus squares Saturn and Mars opposes Neptune. So this Saturn direct is definitely bringing up a lot of tough situations, but it is one that is allowing us an opportunity. And if you notice as well, look at Jupiter. It's at the end of Sagittarius, you know. And if you see Mercury, it's in Scorpio. And it's opposing Uranus. We just went through that. So coming into this Saturn direct, we almost gotten a little, you know, like, oh yeah, this is going good, and then things just kind of drop hard out of nowhere. Venus square Saturn and Mars opposed Neptune. And this is difficult, but it is a path forward. Remember, we're not using the sun and we're not using the moon. We're not using the luminaries in here. And during Friday the 20th, which in my opinion is one of the gnarliest days of the year for the fact the Jupiter-Neptune square and a lot of the stuff going on with that mutable cross, and then of course the moon square the sun and all that stuff that's coming. We have Mars oppose Neptune still, and you see Venus square Pluto. That we have to make major changes during this phase about what is going to be beautiful in our life. What kind of relationships are we going to connect with? These are big cords cutting this whole week about relationships and helio and the true dharma of our collective. The hidden element that most people aren't looking at. And with Mercury at 13, it jumped 7 degrees, by the way, in those 2 days, because Mercury is very fast, 88 days around the sun, right? But with Mercury at 13 Scorpio, it's going to start trining over to Neptune really quick. It's like you can use your intuition to look at the truth. Look at the truth. Stick with the truth this week. Stick with not believing in all these doubts, not believing in all these weird fears, and more importantly, no more redos of movies. We're sick of it at the movie theater, and why would you play that in your own life? That's why we have Facebook. That's why we have Instagram. We can replay it on a video and watch it. That's Jupiter square Neptune. But we don't have to live it. We have to move on. Saturn is going to help us move on this week. But if you're going to go against Saturn, if you're going to go against especially, I would say, you know, this grand trine that does happen with the moon, Pluto, and Mars, which is trying to go to new. Uranus is in Taurus with the moon. Like, let's go to new values and new things that are going to feel good. And Pluto is like, yeah, I want to change everything. I don't want old. I'm trying to create a new Capricorn here. Like, there's all this new energy, and even Mars and Virgo, remember, it's the Virgin. Don't go backwards because it's already tainted. Go into Virgin new energy. That's what the sun is saying here in this last week. And with Mars and everything, like, why? I know that sounds horrible, like, and I know that could trigger people, like you know how there's people out there like, well, there's probably nobody left, but I do know one person out there who used to always be like, yeah, I like to date virgins. I'm like, oh, okay. All I'm trying to say is, go into energy that is virgin to you, that is here to help, that is pure, that it makes sense. Don't go into old patterns. Don't go into taking back old stories again. Just because you want one more play, because that one more play might suck you in the tape player and keep you there for eternity until universe wants to bring you back into the reality. And if you want to wait hundreds of millions of years to come back to this point, go right ahead. I'm sending you my best energy. I love you all very much. There's a lot going on this week, and it's nothing but beauty and amazingness out there if you're willing to go to the higher frequencies of these planets instead of sitting in the lower frequencies, because this is bringing up frequencies that have played their tune and there's nothing left in that vibration. And if you're going to try and resurrect it again, Good luck. Love you all very much. Thank you for all the support. After Dark is next. And check out highvibe.tv, and I'll see you all soon.